Are you totally different when it comes to sex and copulation? Have you judged yourself out of receiving pleasure? Have you judged yourself into receiving pleasure in certain ways and excluded other ways? Would you like to know more about what else is possible with bodies? Would you like to create confidence in the bedroom and beyond? How has your sex life or lack of it affected other areas of your life? Everyone has the potency to be a sexual superhero. Get ready to listen, sense, and play with the sexualness that is you. Now, here's the host of The Pleasure Zone, pleasure diva and body whisperer, Milica Jelenic.
Well, good evening, good morning, depends on where you are in the world. Welcome to The Pleasure Zone. Guess what? This is episode 198. Yep. We're coming close to the 200 line, which is really exciting for me. I feel this is like a major milestone that I've actually chosen to be committed to something for 200 episodes, which is insane. Very fun, though. And for those of you who this is your very first time listening, how cool is it that you can actually look back at a whole and listen to a whole other 197 episodes totally for free? How cool is that? But you know what? If you do love it and you feel like donating to me, I'm totally cool with that too. I actually just do this for basically out of fun and interest of my own, but I'm not in any refusal to receive money for this. So go right ahead, donate away. If you don't know how, you can always private message me or just send money to me through PayPal. That's cool too. I know that we're going to have links up for that soon because it's like, hey, why not? We can all receive, which is fun. And this show is actually all about receiving in general. The Pleasure Zone is actually kind of a platform where we learn more about receiving, where we have maybe had points of view in the past culturally, socially. Maybe there were socioeconomic situations that held us back from receiving. Maybe there were personal situations, emotional things, traumas, all of that actually might have stopped us in some way, or that we have allowed it to stop us in some way from receiving. And really this show is about looking at that and changing it. And all of the episodes are really about looking at that, changing it, choosing something different, and receiving more in your life through your body. Your body is actually the pleasure zone. Guess what? That's what it is. This show is called that, but truly your body in itself, from head to toe, from the very tips of your hair to the very tips of your toenails, if your toenails are longer than your toes, mine aren't, to the very tips of your toes or toenails, whatever's longer. And if you don't have that, that's cool too. It is all about receiving through your body. Your body is the sensory organ that receives pleasure. I don't know for sure if my being receives pleasure. I wonder. I don't know. I think in my interesting point of view, beings are pleasure. So beings are pleasure, and then our ego gets placed on top of it. Beings are the experience of pleasure. So until we've actually put our egos and our points of view on top, we are the energy of joy and pleasure. Then we put all this crap on top, and really what we're doing is looking to receive pleasure through the body, to experience it again. And it's kind of like coming home and experiencing ourselves again. Who are we truly? We are this joy, pleasure, energy, just moving through the entire universe. And now we've got these bodies that get to experience it on a different level through sense reactions and through different ways that we perceive pleasure on this planet. It's very cool. So I'm going to just remind you, what are you doing here? We're actually listening. We are listening because I actually listen to, when I do this show, I listen to information coming through and I share it with you guys. I'm going to be talking about, you'll be listening to an episode on motivation and sexual desire. And it was really funny. I think it was the last week or the week before. The week before, I think I did an episode on it was sexual desire, sex, and depression. One of my friends and avid listeners, he said, well, that was just really weird. Or I told him about the title and he was like, "Oh, that's just really weird. How do you even make those go together?" And I started to kind of give him a gist into that. And he was like, "Wow, yeah, okay, I get it." And I get this, some people don't even really get how much their motivation and sexual desire are connected. Desire, and motivation. Sexual motivation, and we could call it desire and sexual motivation. Not that different. It's actually a very similar energy. So let's look at these energies first, and then we'll kind of get into the nitty-gritty of them. When you look at desire, just sexual desire, like what comes up for you? What, when you look at that energy, peaks in your body that you either have it or don't have it, would like it, and what is motivation for you? What gets you motivated? Gets you waking up in the morning? Has you choosing every day to wake up and live? So motivation is actually the reason for people's actions or desires and needs. It's what, according to the explanation, is. Motivation is also one's direction to behavior, or what causes a person to want to repeat a behavior. So it's the action, right? And if you are lacking the action and you're lacking the desire, there's no motivation. And desire, to me, comes from the French, but we'll find out where does it come from. I'm going to go that it's actually a French word. However, the meanings that are jumping at me right now don't mention that. It can be a strong feeling of wanting, which we know from many other past episodes that wanting is lacking. And so it's a strong feeling of lack, or wishing for something to happen, which means that you actually don't have any kind of when something's happening to you, you are actually not having any choice in the matter. It's just you're sort of like a victim of circumstance in life. Desire as a verb is something a little different, which is more about wishing or wanting something as well, but it's more of an action that you take. So we're going to look at it as an energy more, to me, because I think people can relate to these energies, as motivation is what provokes you to stay alive, and sexual desire is what provokes life itself to continue. So without sexual desire, do people create other bodies? Without sexual desire, do people have sex in order to make babies? If nobody on this planet had sexual desire whatsoever, would life continue? No, it wouldn't. There would be no requirement for it. There would be no drive in the body. And if you have no drive in your body to create babies, would you create them? No, you wouldn't. And there are a lot of people on the planet who absolutely have no drive to create bodies, and they have no drive to also create or to have sex, and one day when I find somebody who's asexual that I can interview, I'd rather get it from somebody who identifies as asexual to talk to them about it, because I don't personally have that experience in my life that I can speak with any authority to talk about that. But I'd like to interview somebody who would identify as asexual. So if you happen to know somebody and you're listening to this, or you happen to be that person, will you please contact me? You can contact me through my website at milicajelenic.com, MILICAJELENIC.com. And I would love to hear from you. Actually, I'd love to interview you about being asexual and how that affects your life. In this terms, I'm talking about people who are walking around identifying themselves with a sexual identity as, either homosexual, heterosexual, transsexual. They're people who are actively seeking copulation, or actively as in they are aware that their body would like it, whether they're out there choosing it daily, or they're just aware that their body at some point in this lifetime has enjoyed copulation. That would be somebody with sexual desire. So sexual desire itself is really something that's primal. This is an energy that's in us from, guess what? It's actually what conceived us. So it's actually been in us and with us since the moment of conception. This sexual desire does not mean that we wanted to hump somebody when we were a baby. It doesn't mean that we've been trying to have action. Sexual desire for me in this context means that we have a drive and a sexual energy that's alive, and we can either dampen it or we can harness it and we can utilize it. So what would you like to do with your sexual desire? Harness it, dampen it, kill it, utilize it. What would you like to do? There's lots of things you can do with these energies. Although truly energy can't be created or destroyed. So what you can do instead of killing it is actually transmuting it into something else. And sometimes people will transmute their sexual desire. If you get a lot of that energy built up, they'll transmute that into motivation. So I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but CEOs of some major corporations, and we just look at their energy. A lot of CEOs of major corporations have also a very intense sexual energy. It's often an energy that pulls people to them. There's something magnetic about that, which is why their businesses grow. And that energy is something that gets fed as well by people who are seeking them out. And whether there's discussion about it or not, there is an underlying sexual energy that is being fed to these CEOs of these major corporations. So their bodies are now feeding off of this energy, and they're kind of walking around maybe a little bit hornier than the rest of us, but maybe they've got a little secret that we're not using too. And maybe, just maybe, somewhere in them, they are waking up ideas, creations, and other things that are actually motivation for them. So they can actually translate their sexual desire, may be massive, and translate that and transmute it into motivation to get their businesses going. It's actually something that people have been doing for a very long time. They've actually been using their sexual energy to create all kinds of things, whether that's through tantric sexual practices, through different practices in, like, for example, Qigong, or different energy practices where you're taking energy, you're transmuting it, changing it, and utilizing it for something else. And this has been going on for thousands of years. So this is not a secret. This just might not be something that you've heard of. This is actually something that I'm going to be talking a lot about on my 21-day series that I have that just started today, and you're welcome to join in. The 21-day series is called Sexual Magicism. It's a 21-day odyssey into your sexual magical self. And also with that, you can get a 1-hour session with me, along with a monthly, once a month, you'll be getting a video that has a video sort of booster kind of video to give you some tips and tools to be more succulent in your life. We will have that link for you available in the replay. So that's something that you can look for. I'll have that. The link is literally just a link to pay, to register. Once you've paid, you are in and you're ready to get cracking with me. Everything is recorded, so you will receive the videos whether you're on live or not, and all the tips and tools will be available to you for as long as I'm alive, and that's hopefully more than a few years. And you can always download them as well. That's an option as well. So you can absolutely come, if you're listening on another network, come into inspiredchoicesnetwork.com, so inspiredchoicesnetwork.com, and you can find this episode that I've called Motivation and Sexual Desire. So you can just search that and you will find the link in there to register for the package offer I have. And it's $197 Canadian, which is a complete steal, quite frankly. I know that because my rates for private sessions are just about that. So you're getting me plus 21 days of me plus a whole bunch more. So if you enjoy this show and you would really like to have more of it in a more of a video way, but more tips and tools that are a little deeper, definitely join in on this call series. It's completely and totally worth it. I even look at it and go, wow, if I wasn't the facilitator, I'd be getting this. This is fantastic. But since I'm facilitating, I guess I'll be facilitating. I won't be listening. Although I do listen to myself sometimes too, because I'm quirky that way. So when you know that that's a possibility, that you can transmute anything, any of your energies into something else, how much fun can that be for your life? And then doesn't that just kind of open up this gateway and these ideas just start pouring forth? So I'm sure as I said that, there's going to be some ideas pouring forth for you. And by all means, explore that, right? Explore that. So we're going to be heading to our first commercial here. You're listening to The Pleasure Zone here on Inspired Choices Network. And I'm your hostess with the mostest, Milica Jelenic, and we'll be right back after this commercial break.
Many of us have created a lot of limitations around sex and what we are willing to choose. What else is possible beyond what we have already seen, heard, or thought of? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual revolution? Taking the taboo out of all aspects of sex, sexuality, and copulation by tuning in to the Pleasure Zone radio show with body whisperer Milica Jelenic. You'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for The Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is The Pleasure Zone with body whisperer Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, please call in the U.S. Call 815-880-8255. That's TALK. Or Canada, 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email at milicajelenic.com. Now back to the program.
Hello everyone. Welcome back to the Pleasure Zone. I'm your host, Milica Jelenic, and tonight's topic is motivation and sexual desire. How are those linked anyway, right? Are they linked? Well, what I've noticed, and this is just from an observational standpoint, is that yes, indeed, motivation and sexual desire are linked. I've noticed this, that when people feel like their bodies are turned on, and their bodies are excited and their bodies are having fun, that all of a sudden their motivation level jumps. And whether they're choosing to act and copulate or not, it's that they're feeling a sense of sexual desire both in their bodies, and their bodies are showing, or we could say exuding, a sexual vibe, sexual energy that's attractive, which can be really a motivating factor. When people feel attractive and people are choosing them, it's motivation to continue to create. If you have people not choosing you, you can often get quite down in the dumps. And especially as an entrepreneur, when I have people choosing my creations, I feel like it's a huge motivation to create. When I first started this radio show, I had a lot of trepidation about it. I was really insecure about it, really curious, but I had a lot of insecurity about this show. Are people going to listen? Oh my God, what's the point? Like, I had a lot of stuff going on that was really like I wasn't motivated by anything really until I started getting letters from people. I started getting letters from listeners from around the world. And in some level, I was aware that I required that motivation to keep choosing the show, and I would ask for that. And I still, if you have letters and you'd like to send me letters, I love it. It is a motivating factor for me to know I've got listeners, to know that I'm creating a difference for you. I love that. And I recently had somebody write, and they actually joined one of the things that I've created, and already after half an hour of being in one of my classes, had a great change for them, and they're like so excited that they chose to be part of one of my classes. So that's huge motivation for me. Seeing change in people, getting responses where people are like, "Wow, that worked." I do kind of create a lot of my own ideas based on what I required myself. There are a lot of things I pull from. I slap them together, create a collage that looks like my thing, although it probably is things that have been piecemealed together by a whole bunch of other stuff somewhere in my life, and I might not even remember where. I am aware that I have the ability to tap in, so I've probably pulled from different things. So motivation for me. Well, at the time, too, when I first started this show, I also had a sense of kind of low self-esteem with my body. I was just stepping into a new relationship, and I couldn't quite believe that my partner, lover, now husband, actually found me attractive. I thought he was just crazy or lying, or there was no way. No, I really didn't believe him. I really thought this was just nuts and it was temporary insanity. And the more I actually would allow myself to see me through his eyes, the more I actually liked me, the more my sex drive ramped up. Poor him. But just kidding. I'm sure he's appreciative. But the more my body got turned on, which as a result, the more my body got turned on, the more happy I am to be alive, the more happy I am to be alive, the more people are like, "Hey, what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing?" And it's kind of like the "hey, what are you doing" is one of those things where I get to go, well, in my life, this is where I was, and this is where I am, and this is what I'm choosing. And if you'd like to be part of that, I can do some work with you, right? So it's a great way that when you actually change your life and you are embodying more joy and more joy and more joy, that you become an invitation to people, and they actually start to be curious. And whether you are, a coach, a healer, whether you sell oranges on the street, it doesn't matter what you're offering. It's that literally you could be selling oranges and you could be super joyful. People will be curious. They'll just start buying your oranges because they're going to start to think, what are those babies laced with? Some joy juice? And you're like, yeah, those are laced with joy juice. So by all means, allow yourself to be totally turned on all the time. And if you're not, guess what? There's ways to change that, because I did for years also have a time where I had zero sex drive at all. And my sex drive was literally, it kind of went downhill after I had my child. I only have one kid, but I really, there was a lot of resentment, a lot of anger, a lot of emotional stuff that I wasn't willing to let go of. I felt like it was serving me a purpose. It was serving me the purpose to not have the relationship that I was in, which worked for me, to actually be angry and resentful and not like the person and have fights. That all worked for me to get out of it. And I shut my sexual energy down I was quite aware that I was doing it. I just wasn't quite aware of the ramifications that would have on the rest of my life at the time. So I was quite aware that turning down me, turning down my sexualness, turning myself off and trying not to be attractive, trying to be as little attractive as possible, because I definitely didn't want to be having any like relations with my ex-partner. I didn't want to be having I really didn't want to be involved. And if I showed any ounce of happiness, my point of view was if I showed I was happy, he would assume I wanted to stay in this relationship, which I didn't, which I was trying desperately to get out of for years. So I literally had made myself miserable, turned my body off in order to get a result. And that did work for me. What I hadn't considered at the time was that I could have done the opposite. I could have ramped myself up so much. I could have ramped my sexual energy up so much that he couldn't have received it. I could have ramped me up and stood in my energy and in my being and in my body so present and so potently that it would have been a total turnoff. What I wasn't aware of is that me playing small and pathetic was actually a turn on to this person. Because in my point of view, who would want to be with somebody who's turned off and playing small? Who would want to do that? But I get that there's a level where sometimes it's like, that's a turn on for somebody. You're playing pathetic and small, then you maybe become attractive to somebody who is maybe playing a role of authority or something, or would like to be authority. So if you are with somebody who, when you're with them, maybe you're not playing small though. So there's a difference. You could be with somebody and you can be empowered in that moment. But then there's other times in your life where you're playing small. Look at the partner or the person you're around when you're playing small. Look at that person and look at you and look at where your sexual desire is. Is it really high? Is it really low? When you're around people who you actually don't want to be with, but you keep saying yes to for I don't know why, because we're silly little beings on this planet at times. When we're infinite beings, we don't do those stupid games. But when we're playing silly, small, and pathetic, we play these games where we're like, oh, look, I'm going to hang out with this person. I'm going to disappear. I'm going to disappear my sexual energy. I'm going to disappear my motivation and my drive. I'm going to disappear my everything. Because why? Because, oh, look, I'm with a control freak. And if I get really miserable and really small and really pathetic, they might want to leave. But guess what? When you're with a sociopath who likes to control people all the time, unfortunately, they like you being really small, pathetic, and meaningless. And as much as they pretend to hate you, they also like to belittle you. So if you are in that situation, I dare you to play the opposite game that I played. I mean, my game worked. It took me about 11 years, 10 years to get out. But it's something that you could do faster. I'm aware of that. If you just be you, ramp you up so freaking high. And if you don't know how to do that, again, join my call series, because I got lots of tips and tools in there how to ramp it up. And I have talked about it on many shows, so kind of look back on some of my episodes, so I don't have to do 197 episodes in this episode. And you can make this really easy. You can just ask to start being more of you and let that start to show up. It's one of the easiest ways to do it. Just ask every day, universe, show me more of me. Body, show me more of me. Just be more of me. What would that be like what would it be like if I was more of me all the time? And then breathe it in. Breathe in that light, love, joy, and yummy. Breathe it from the top of your head to the tips of your toes, letting all your organs in your spine fill up with that joy, love, happy, smiley energy. And when you breathe out all the poop and the lies that you've been buying from other people. So breathe all the poop and lies out and breathe all the joy and love in. And guess what? Your body will transform. Bodies love the smile. Bodies love that joy, smile, energy coming in from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. And your body loves to get rid of the stuff that's actually taking up space, like the poopy judgments that we keep in our body. So breathe those out and see how that starts to get that sexual energy going again. We just find it like a little bit at a time. And, one of the things that can ramp up your sexual energy too is, and we're going to look at this after break, is what is something that you're actually withholding from you? What's something you're withholding from you? Is it something that you've been desiring? So what are you withholding from you? So I was talking to some friends about this one day. We were talking about being really tired. And I was talking to a friend the other day about this, and he was saying, "Oh my God, I'm so tired." And I asked him, "How much of you and how much of your sexual energy are you withholding?" And he was like, "Oh my God, like 95% of my sexual energy." And just acknowledging that, his body just started to vibrate and change. And I could see that even though it was from a distance, and he's like on the other side of America. You could see that over video, there was change occurring. So ask yourself that, how much of my sexual energy am I withholding? If you feel like you don't have any, I bet your bottom dollar that you have megatons of it that you're actually withholding expressing. And if you're withholding expressing it, look at who's around you and look at if you are actually withholding it because you don't want to be around these people, because you don't want to create with them. And if you did show that energy off, they would be turned on, you would be turned on, and you wouldn't have an out, would you? Oh, you wouldn't have an out, would you? But what if you just ramped the crap up, stood in the energy of you, and if they couldn't handle it, they would walk away of their own volition. And that's not a wrongness, my friends, because you being in your own energy, standing in your own energy, is actually the greatest gift you can be. And being that sexual energy you are is one of the greatest gifts you can be. So there's a question for you to ponder. What and how much are you, are you withholding any sexual energy? And how much sexual energy are you withholding? And if you were to unleash even 5% more of that, what would your body feel like? What would the world be like? Who would you be? So, something to consider. So you're listening to The Pleasure Zone here on Inspired Choices Network. And I'm your host, Milica Jelenic, and we're going to head off to this second commercial break of the evening right now.
Many of us have created a lot of limitations around sex and what we are willing to choose. What else is possible beyond what we have already seen, heard, or thought of? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual revolution, taking the taboo out of all aspects of sex, sexuality, and copulation by tuning in to the Pleasure Zone radio show with body whisperer Milica Jelenic. You'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for The Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What if there's nothing wrong with you? What if you're far greater than you've ever given yourself credit for? What if it's time to know the gift and the contribution you are to the world and to like yourself a lot more? Hi, my name is Dane here. 13 years ago, I started to truly ask questions. Actually, I started to be the question, and everything changed for me. Asking questions opens doors to infinite possibilities. And it's not about finding the answer. It's about being the question. Always. What I'm inviting you to step into is something that Einstein, Marie Curie, Newton, Da Vinci, Gandhi, Picasso, and Aristotle all knew to be true. What if no question is too big or too small? What if anything is possible for you? What if together we could create a kinder, gentler, happier world? Is now the time? Go to beingyouclass.com and sign up for a free video series, My Gift to You. beingyouclass.com. What if you, truly being you, are the gift and change this world requires? beingyouclass.com.
This is The Pleasure Zone with body whisperer Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, please call in the U.S. Call 815-880-8255. That's TALK. Or Canada, 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email at milicajelenic.com. Now back to the program.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to The Pleasure Zone. I'm your host, Milica Jelenic, and tonight we're talking about motivation and sexual desire. just before the break, if you weren't with me, you might have, and if you were with me, you might have heard the question, how much of your sexual energy are you withholding? Or holding on to, but mostly withholding. Withholding, it means that you're actually not willing to gift it, and you're not willing to receive it from yourself. So how much of it are you withholding? And if you're holding on to it, how much do you think that it's also something that is finite? That you've only got so much of this sexual energy and then you're spent for life. Just like your sexual energy is not finite. It's actually infinite, and you are an infinite being. You and your sexual energy are actually pretty much, my friends, one and the same. I know, strange but true. You are the embodiment of sexual energy walking. That's my personal opinion. So why is that? Well, we are sexual beings by nature. We were created by sex, and so our bodies and beings are, I think it was Wilhelm Reich who talked about the energy of orgone as basically an energy that is in everything, that he also referred to as like an orgasmic energy. It's basically like an orgasm in everything. It's the energy of life. And maybe I'll do a show about Wilhelm Reich on some point. I just have to learn more about him. I'm aware of him, but I'm not like some kind of studied expert in him or something. So we are all of this energy, and so is everything on the planet. You know, even rocks and crystals actually have this energy in them that has a life energy. When you compress it, there's this there's energy that gets released from it. That's like there's this. So that's actually called piezoelectricity. Is when you actually compress something. You can compress rocks, but you can also compress like your own bones, muscle tissue and DNA and stuff like that, and electricity gets released. People often we talk about bodies getting like body work, massages, or whatever. There's an element of physicality about it, but there's also an element of piezoelectricity going on where the body is actually releasing energy due to the pressure that's being put on it. So there's a lot of energy in our bodies. There's a lot of, and that energy is what we build and utilize in what we often call like sexual desire. It's our sexualness, it's our sexual energy. It's who we are, and that energy is all within us. And it does get released. So whether we have physical pressure put on us or emotional pressure, energy gets released when there's pressure. Let's face it, you can look at pretty much anything on the planet and you can see that energy pressed onto something, if pressure put onto something, will release energy somehow. Even people who are super studied scholars and being total space, you could put pressure on something of theirs, whether it's emotional, energetic, or physical, and there will be a response. So how much of that are we using? So when we use pressure to release energy, how much are we using that? Because somewhere innately we know that we require motivation. What's going to motivate us? Something's going to motivate us and propel us forward. Oh, maybe there's an energy that will propel us forward. Oh, wait a second. Okay, so somewhere in our bodies we know if we place pressure on something, that energy will be released and something will change and move forward. So in your life, do you actually use pressure as a motivating factor? Pressure with bills, pressure with bodies, pressure in your body, pressure externally, whether it's in your home or your business environment. Do you use pressure as a means to actually release energy? By all means, if that's working for you, go for it. What if there's other ways, though, to release energy? Because we know that that's one way, but there's other ways as well. We are also, bodies that have a lot of water in them. And there's also an electrical component with water. We have entire systems of energy that are created through water. So just saying, there's a lot of different ways that we could be having our motivation kick in and work for us. And our sexual desire gets built more, stronger. So our bodies themselves, when we look at them physically, the sexual desire is part of a few responses in the body. There are responses that are going on when for example, your body, we'll take a male body. A male body usually responds visually to other bodies. For the most part, that is a key response system in male bodies. So whether they're viewing another male body or a female body or a transgender body or whatever, there is a response from a male body through a visual response. That information goes to the brain. That information from the brain kicks in a response to the nervous system, to the blood, to all these different systems in the body to get things going, to create either an erection or an arousal of some sort, and the body is then turned on. It gives off like a pheromone and a physiological response to indicate that there's arousal, which then that other person viewing that body responds to that and their body gets aroused. So it's an interesting cycle. When we see arousal, we get aroused. So one of the things I'd also encourage you to do is, if you're not feeling very aroused, go be around bodies that are turned on. And that doesn't mean they have to be in pornography or they have to be in the sex industry, or they have to be naked. In fact, what I've noticed is a lot of bodies that are naked or that are in the sex industry or even that are in the industry of like bodybuilding, a lot of those bodies are not turned on. In fact, a lot of those bodies are being abused a lot, and they're almost shutting off. So what I'm wondering about with that is, what would turn you on? And by all means, if that does turn you on, go for it. But when I'm talking about turned on bodies, I'm talking about bodies that have this energy about them that's alive, vital, sexual, sensual, walking around. Doesn't matter what they look like, but somehow you feel attracted. And whether your attraction is confused with copulation, or whether your attraction is just known to be that I'm attracted to that being, that body, there's something there. There's an attraction. There's a pull. So there's an energy that pulls you. So I would choose, if I was not turned on, I would choose to be pulled into spheres by people who are turned on and can pull energy. Why? Because when your body is turned off and you're withholding your energy, one of the greatest gifts is to let somebody pull your energy. Then your energy expands and you actually can start to be more of you. You can bring your barriers down when you're around people who can pull energy dynamically, who are kind, who have no point of view. And you can be around them and your body can just drop its barriers. You can expand your sexual energy can wake up. Then your body's turned on. Your body has more energy. Your body can either go copulate or it can have motivation to go create something else, whether it's in a business or in a relationship or health or whatever it is. There's a sense of motivation. If your body's not turned on, though, and you're forcing it to do things, you have to work out. You have to go do work. You have to have sex. All of those forces and those have-tos can actually be incredibly stressful on the body in a way that, yes, it might exert or release energy. It's not always the energy we were hoping for. It's not always the orgasmic energy. When some pressures actually release anger, some pressures will release frustration as well, which can transmute eventually into something else. And then there's easier routes, right? So you can be around the people, be around the energies, be around the vibrations that are actually compelling and attracting you and attractive to you. And those energies will allow your body to resonate at a different vibration, will allow your body to have a sense of no barriers so that it can receive from everything, from all the situations. Then your body can start to bring in more energy, and then utilize it for whatever it would like. It's really fun to let your body just be turned on and receive from whoever, wherever, whenever. It can also create a massive amount of judgment, right? So if you're walking around turned on all the time, you might find that people are like, oh my God, you hang out with so-and-so and you do blah, 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 and what are you doing? Oh my God, that person's an idiot. You might find that you're hanging out with people who are maybe, or you might find that you are surrounding yourself with people who are judging that, which is cool too, so you can receive their judgments. You can also get that maybe their level of receiving is different than yours. You can keep choosing what works for you and works for your energy so that your energy can continue to feel motivated and turned on. So whether people approve of you being turned on or not, it's up to you to allow them to affect you or not. So they can contribute to your body being more turned on, or they can contribute to your body being turned off. Ultimately, it's your choice which one you choose. So that's a question for you to ponder. Are you actually willing to be turned on no matter what, no matter where, no matter with who? And if not, look at that. Who are those people? What are you choosing? And if you're creating more and you're creating greater in your life by being around the people that you're turned on by and that your energy's turned on by, be around them. Because I tell you, being around people who are not turning you on can be really damper on things. So make a little list. You can do that. You can definitely make a little list, even if it's only one person. Make that list of people that you can be you around, that you can stand in your energy, be totally present. Allow yourself to receive sexual desire for your own body, that you can be turned on by your body, that you can receive sexual desire from others' bodies, that you can allow yourself to be turned on in people's in somebody else's presence, and also when you don't feel it, to allow yourself to be in the presence of somebody that's turned on and have your barriers down so that you can actually start to be turned on too. Being around turned on people, I find I get turned on. It's like automatic. It's just so fast that it's silly. So who's turned on? Are you willing to be around them? Are you willing to have your barriers down? Think about that. So just a reminder, you're listening to Motivation and Sexual Desire here on the Pleasure Zone on Inspired Choices Network. And I'm your host, Milica Jelenic, and we're heading off to our last commercial break right now.
Many of us have created a lot of limitations around sex and what we are willing to choose. What else is possible beyond what we have already seen, heard, or thought of? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual revolution, taking the taboo out of all aspects of sex, sexuality, and copulation by tuning in to the Pleasure Zone radio show with body whisperer Milica Jelenic. You'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for the Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What if you really do change molecules by your interaction with them? What if the change you've been looking for is right before your eyes? What if the uncomfortableness that comes with difference could be fun? What if the closed-minded people of the world no longer determined our world? What if gratitude trumps judgment every time? What if your kindness healed the world? What if the earth is asking for your help? And what if you had the resources to give it? This is your invitation to step into something that Einstein, Marie Curie, Picasso, Da Vinci, Shakespeare, Aristotle all knew to be true. Hi, my name is Dane here. 13 years ago, I started to truly ask questions. Actually, I started to be the question, and everything changed for me. What if there are no dumb questions, or any question too large? What if you being you are the gift and the change this world requires? Is now the time? For more questions to create a change in your world, sign up for a free video series at beingyouclass.com. My gift to you, beingyouclass.com.
This is The Pleasure Zone with body whisperer Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, please call in the U.S. Call 815-880-8255. That's TALK. Or Canada, 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email at milicajelenic.com. Now back to the program.
Hello, sweet pleasure seekers. Welcome back to the Pleasure Zone. I'm your host, Milica Jelenic, and tonight you've been listening to Motivation and Sexual Desire. And what exactly is that, right? So if you are just tuning in now, there's a whole 40, almost 50 minutes prior to this where we talked a lot about that. What I'd really like to have you guys come to in this show is that you are an amazing, infinite sexual being, and your sexual desire and the things that you desire sexually, but it's mostly the sexual desire, like as in your body being turned on, is actually one of the greatest contributions to you creating your life. Yep. I know that sounds very conclusive. It's something I'm aware of. So it might be different for you. For me, I have to say that for me, when my sexual desire is high and I feel that my body is desired and I feel like I'm able to express my desire and I have a freedom of expression and I have a freedom to be vulnerable and have my body be turned on, then my life in all other areas expands and becomes so much easier and more fun. So I know there are listeners out there who are not necessarily experiencing that, and I know what that's like. I've been there. And if you would like facilitation on that, if you'd like personal facilitation, I offer that in private sessions. If you would like group facilitation, I do have a class that just started, and it is about sexual magicism. So it's really about putting the practice of magic into our daily lives regarding our sexual energy. So pretty fun and pretty amazing for our bodies to be able to create with us through being awesome, fun, and turned on. Look at the times in your life where you've created the greatest amount of fun, the greatest amount of ease, and maybe even the greatest amount of money. And when you look at those times and you look at your body, how turned on was your body? Really turned on, I betcha. When you look at your life and you look at where you've created the least, where you've created the least amount of money, where you've created the least amount of fun, the least amount of ease, how turned on was your body? Very, very little? I bet it was. And how much motivation do you have when it's not turned on? Very, very little. So there are a few steps to take, and one of the ones that I first suggest is remember to breathe light into your body. Breathe energy. Even if you only have one small, tiny memory of joy, there is a glimpse and a molecule in that memory that can actually come into your body as light and go into your body through the top of your head, all the way through your brain, through your spine, through your entire nervous system, which is going to all your organs as well. You're going to breathe that in, let your body fill with light, and on your exhale, you're going to breathe out all the crap. And you're just going to continue to circulate that until your body feels even a little bit more turned on, and then do it the next day. And even if you become more familiar with your body, there can be a lot more to that exercise. It's a really simplified version of breathing in joy, exhaling crap. That's the simple version of talking about that. So I'm really grateful for you guys listening to these episodes that motivate me to continue to create them. My greatest motivation is seeing change in people, and one of my other greatest motivations is being turned on. That's my personal motivation, is being turned on, and my external motivation is actually seeing change in people and hearing from you guys about how or if I have contributed to you in any way, and I love that. Even if you're writing to me to tell me that you masturbate to my show, which I get those too, I appreciate it. So thank you so much for listening. Remember to check out my website for upcoming events and classes that are going on, and you can still join in on my great adventure of the package that I have going on, which you can find on Inspired Choices Network. So until next week, just know that your body is allowed to be turned on, and you can stay tuned in to everything that your body and your life require and everything you desire. Until next week, have a great week.
Thank you for choosing to listen to The Pleasure Zone. Milica Jelenic will return next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have the best week of your life by choosing to be turned on and tuned in to your body.